Welcome to JMTTv and the Pure Jamie Milne podcast. I am very fortunate today, super excited, and I must admit, very curious and pumped, to be honest, to speak to, first and foremost, a good friend. And also Nicole here in WA is a mindset and a hormone coach. Has an enormous wealth of experience and knowledge with regards to nutrition, to fitness, and is going to share a bit of that wisdom, that knowledge with us today. But most importantly, Nicole is a mum. You're in Albany, aren't you?
I'm in Albany, Albany WA, down the bottom of Western Australia.
Yeah, unreal. Got some kidlets. But is very passionate, about conversations and discussions of supporting not primarily women, but not only women, around a good, healthy relationship with food, and not necessarily looking at scales and numbers and stuff like that, which I actually really, really like. Like, that is something I love talking about, and I think it's a great topic. Little side note for those watching and listening, Nicole has you got a sore throat, or
it's just a bit of a dry, raspy, chesty throat, but I'm not sick, if that makes sense.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So if Nicole has to cough or anything, it's just because she's running a bit rough, but she's been kind enough to turn up and push through it and chat to us today. So yeah, Nicole, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I'm absolutely thrilled and honoured that to be on here and have a chat to you and help some of your clients through any struggles they're going through with their hormones, their food. Yeah, so thank you.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome. I think like I said, we're super fortunate, and really lucky to be able to chat to you. And I think, like, even starting with that, so I think if we can, just a little bit about yourself and what you do. I know I shared a tiny bit, but I suppose I'm going to be a brave man here and say the topic of pre-menopause, menopause, and like, especially in our industry, in the health and fitness industry, is, I don't know if I would call it, and I'm not sure if I would call it taboo from a man's perspective. That might be a bit full on, but I can confidently say from my own experience, it's just a lack of education and a lack of knowledge, which can come across a bit uneasy. Like, we don't really know. Some men might know what's going on, but I certainly, I've got an understanding of a few hormones plummet, estrogen, testosterone, and is it progesterone or something?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So just a little overview, Nicole, will be awesome, just so people can get to know you a bit.
Sure. So I am a personal trainer, and I've been a personal trainer for a long time. So from there, I studied nutrition. And then from there, I went and studied mindset coaching. And now that I'm in my 50s, I wanted to understand more about menopause and perimenopause, because firstly, I wanted to support myself. And also, a lot of my clients, are the same age as me. So I wanted to support them through that. So just a little brief understanding of menopause. So menopause is actually when you have gone 12 months without a period. That's considered you're in menopause. So if you go 11 months without a period and then have a period, then you start counting from 1 again. So it has to be a full 12 months.
Okay.
But the lead up to menopause can actually start in your 30s, but most women will find sort of in their sort of mid-40s that they'll start to experience symptoms, and probably some of the first symptoms are really heavy periods. And that's because we're not always ovulating. So there's no progesterone there, which causes the heavy periods. And so my sort of goal is to help women understand a bit more about that, what they can do, And also get rid of a lot of the myths that are out there, because there are a lot of myths and there's a lot of supplements being peddled and lots of misinformation. So I want to keep it real for women so that they understand what's going on. They know where they can get support, because there is a lot of support out there.
Mm-hmm.
There is also a lot you can do for yourself, so with your nutrition. And probably the two biggest factors are sleep and stress.
Yeah.
So getting those under control is the number one key.
Wow. Because that was going to be sort of one of my opening questions as well. Like, what are some of the tools? What are some of the things? Because you are right. It can seem very overwhelming. Just chatting to people, and like the fallacies, the myths, the abundance of information online. And that's why I sort of thought I'd come right to the source, somebody like yourself, a professional, and be like, well, what's some of the things that one can do to mitigate some of the challenges? Like, and as you were saying, like, sleep and management of stress. So
yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of women find when they are stressed that their symptoms are more pronounced.
mm-hmm.
So managing your stress, and I know it can be stressful if you are having symptoms, but it's kind of like a double-edged sword. Mm-hmm. So managing your stress, making sure you're getting enough sleep, which again is another problem, because when we are going through hormonal changes, our sleep may be affected.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things you can do in regard to your sleep, and that is making sure that you're not having a lot of sugar at night time before you go to bed.
Yeah.
Because that can interfere with your melatonin production.
Mm-hmm.
Alcohol is another big trigger,
mm-hmm.
because that's going to affect your sleep.
Yeah, right.
Also, and sometimes when people are stressed, they are turning to alcohol to help them cope, which we know that's not a great coping mechanism.
Yeah.
In terms of sleep, actually in the morning, getting out in the sunlight and not wearing sunglasses. So you're getting that light, the sunlight on your eyes. So not in the middle of the day, but in the morning.
Yeah.
That can help reset your sleep cycle. If your symptoms are, interfering with your daily life, start with the natural treatments, but make sure that you reach out to your doctor as well, because there are a lot of things that you can do.
Yeah. Those are really, really good suggestions. And when you chat to like your clients, and because I know some people, like you said, some people are going to use alcohol, they're going to use lollies and chocolates and ice cream, if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, so they can be vices for some people. So if someone was to come to you and they were like, yeah, like I'm feeling the stress, they're talking about the discomfort, the dissatisfaction of going through this process in their life, where would you guide people in terms of stress management and stuff like that? Like, what would you...
With stress management, I like to look at, okay, what are your stresses? Because when, in your 40s and 50s, you're probably dealing, if you've got children, maybe teenagers, but also elderly parents. So what are your stresses and how can we support those? And I'm really big on breathing. So just breath work, which I know that you absolutely love, Jamie. So, just breathing. Excuse me.
No, you're totally fine. Totally fine. I was like, I'm sure she's going to have a drink. I'll take the opportunity. Oh, the synchronicity.
So, making sure that, you know what your stresses are, because a lot of people don't realize that they're dealing with so much stress. A lot, that everyday stress that just builds up. I think when people have a major stress, so, for example, maybe someone passing away, they know it's a big stress, they deal with it, but just that everyday stress builds up. Right. So supporting your body to help you through that stress. You know, how do you manage your stress? What do you do? Do you have a good support network?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. I love that. It seems like almost the litany of basics. Like it's the sort of, which I know, you know, I say that with a grain of salt. It's sometimes we forget the basics, like
Yeah, absolutely.
address the, you know, the obvious white elephant in the room, which is probably a lot of us men, to be honest. We probably cause a bit of stress to you.
Yeah, probably.
I'll take it.
I didn't want to say that.
Yeah, I thought I might just bring it to the conversation. We can be problematic sometimes, but anyway, moving on very quickly. The dog's over there, rolls over.
Yeah, I can see his leg.
Yeah, all stressed out over there. Yeah, and those little things. So, because I know, like in my experience, which is, you know, it's just an experience. I see like a lot of ladies communicate about, you know, hot flushes or flashes.
Yeah, so either one. I think hot flushes is American.
Oh, okay.
But hot flush is Australian. But I've started saying hot flash now because it's just, you see it so often.
Yeah. Oh, so it's just a language.
Yeah.
Not actually a different thing. Okay. So you know, what would be some key solutions for even that experience, that symptom?
Yeah, so I guess for a lot of women it can be quite embarrassing.
Yeah.
Depending when it's happening. You know, if you're in a meeting and you start getting hot. So firstly, you know, that's going to happen because your estrogen is dropping. So that's what's causing the hot flashes. But, you know, making sure that you dress cool so that you can take layers off.
Yeah.
You know, putting something cool onto your neck, but also managing your diet as well. So not letting, balancing your blood sugars.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's evidence to say that when your blood sugars drop, that can cause a hot flush as well.
That's such a good suggestion. And again, those basics, isn't it, that we take for granted, like the power of good nutrition.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think I can't wait to talk to you about that. Yeah, like really looking forward to that. To be honest, I know one of the other common symptoms being, you know, rapid sort of mood swings. I go through that myself. A lot.
Yeah.
Up in the morning, pumped and excited, and by the afternoon, I'm fucking breathing into a brown paper bag. But the ups and downs, the mood swings. Any sort of thoughts around that, Nicole?
Yeah, look,
that came in.
Everyone is different, and some women will experience a lot of mood swings and even depression-like symptoms.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is because they're not sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're not sleeping, that does affect your mood.
Yeah.
They're not sleeping. You know, there's lots of things going on. Yeah. So with your moods, there are some supplements that you can take, but they're not a cure-all. It's more of a support.
Yeah.
So things like ashwagandha, and there's particular supplements, but that's sort of a band-aid as well.
Mm-hmm.
So just supporting your system. But definitely, the mood swings can be a major factor for some women.
Mm-hmm.
Other women they will just breeze through, but it's about working individually with the person to what suits them and works well for them.
So it's not one of these cookie cutter approaches. All women you can expect to experience this hierarchy of symptoms.
Exactly. Some women will just breeze through.
Yeah.
Other women, they might suffer for up to 15 years.
Oh my God.
I know. I know.
Oh, turn the lights off.
I know. Years. Yeah. So that's pretty yeah. You can imagine you would have some mood swings if you
like, I shouldn't laugh. I'm like, fuck, that is terrible.
I know. And I'm lucky because I'm almost 52. And
look amazing, by the way, Nicole.
Thank you.
Well done, you.
I haven't really had
Mm.
any major symptoms.
Yeah, okay.
So, and the average age of menopause is 52.
Okay.
So,
Do you accredit that to your healthy lifestyle and like a lot of the things that you're talking about? Like you'll obviously have a bit of a value and understanding on managing stress and sleep hygiene and good food.
yeah. So I'm
That's fine.
really big on my sleep.
Mhm.
I make sure that I have at least 7 hours, 7 to 8.
Yeah.
Occasionally I don't, but as a rule, sleep is my number one. So
Yeah.
making sure that I'm getting good sleep, that my room is a good temperature, because if it's hot, that's going to contribute to you
Of
having
course.
a hot, night sweats. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. One of the awesome. Thank you. So it's interesting, eh? It's like a lot of the stuff seems very common sense, but as you know, the common sense is not always that common. We're
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
oh yeah, that's right. Get some fucking sleep. But it's
Yeah,
and yet we still thrash about, or some people thrash about with 5 or 6 hours and wonder why they're running rough. But we have a large number of women in our community that are endurance athletes.
yeah.
And that sort of differs. Some of them are ultra marathon runners, some of them Ironman, triathletes, cyclists. Any sort of advice or suggestions? And obviously, as you said, it's not a generalized approach,
Mm-hmm.
individualized. Any sort of general suggestions for those ladies, because they flog themselves, quite a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Hours, quite a commitment of time and energy for the endurance sports. And going through menopause or premenopause, is there any sort of?
Yeah, so there's a lot of information about exercise
Mhm.
in menopause, and that we shouldn't be, thrashing our body. But I find that that's not actually the case. And
Mm.
again, it's on a case by case basis. I mean, I'm still pushing my weights, lifting heavy, doing what I can. Definitely things like jumping. I don't feel like I want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
But if the ladies are fine doing that, then
Mm.
that's absolutely fine as well. So
Mm.
again, it's if they've been doing that and they're having no problems, then absolutely keep doing that.
Mm.
Nutritionally, it's about supporting your body, making sure that you're putting back into your body. So adequate protein is really important at this time of life,
Mm.
quality carbs, and then good fats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, great advice. So
Yeah.
yeah, good food, yeah, making sure adequate protein, and then the good quality carbs and that. I
Yeah.
just love your view of it, like support the body, give the body a chance to do what it can do. Yeah, I just think it's a great
Yeah.
suggestion. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot of women out there eating 1,200 calories, which is not enough food. So especially if you're an athlete,
Yeah.
you need to be supporting your body so that you can get the best out of it.
Yeah.
So making sure you are having your quality carbs, good proteins.
Yeah. Couple of quick little examples of those, Nicole, and then we're gonna
Yeah,
pivot.
so with your proteins, so lean meats,
Yeah.
chicken, fish, eggs,
Yeah.
using, protein powder as a supplement, not as the main. So just using that to supplement, making sure you're getting enough protein. So if you're an athlete, you probably need to be having around 2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight.
Yeah.
So for myself, I'm about 65 kilos, so I eat around about 130.
Yeah.
I was going to say 130 kilos, 130 grams of protein a day.
There's 2 whole cows.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and my carbs, I have probably about 180 grams
Mhm.
of carbs, and about 60 grams of fat. But yeah, so depending on what you're doing, but you definitely want to be eating your quality proteins. So your vegetarian sources of protein are things like chickpeas, tofu, eggs, your quality carbs, so sweet potato, whole grains,
Yeah.
oats, those types of things. And then your good fats, so olive oil, nuts, avocado.
Mm-hmm.
That's some good examples. Yeah.
Oh, great examples. Love that. And I've often found, and I'm not sure about in your sort of experience, and I know you alluded to the necessity of protein and things like that, especially sort of at our age demographic.
Yeah.
That's where I found often people are miles off the mark. Like when they
absolutely,
they're like, oh my God, I'm only getting half of my daily sort of requirements of protein, and that's quite a few people sort of hit that roadblock. And so it's good to know, good to share with people that 2 grams per kilogram of body weight is good
for an athlete. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Cool.
And if you're when I speak to my clients and I go through what they're eating, and if they're, a lot of them were saying, oh, well, I have a sandwich for lunch, you are not going to be able to get enough protein in that sandwich unless if they're having a sandwich with a couple of bits of ham, that is not enough protein. So, yeah.
Got a couple of bits of lean deli meats.
Yeah, exactly. So, having a lot of chicken, for example. Sorry, another thing with hot flashes is having your meat in the earlier part of the day, especially red meat, because red meat takes a lot to break down and that causes a lot of heat.
Yeah.
So one strategy that I do get my ladies to try who are hot at night is to have their main meal at lunch and have their big protein at lunch.
Yeah, and sort of, smaller meal of a nighttime.
Yeah. So maybe a lighter, like a fish or a chicken or a vegetarian source of protein.
Yeah, great information.
Yeah, so that's a good one.
So and I think with our final sort of few minutes, Nicole, because I'm mindful of time and your time, I would love just your view, your opinion, thoughts on nutrition. As I mentioned at the start of this, it's one of the things that I really admire in you and the work you do is this conversation around the dog's like, oh, we're talking about food, let's give it a stretch. The conversation about food and your desire and passion to support people in their relationship with food, because that's massive. Hey,
it is. And I've had my own problems with food growing up, restricting myself and then binge eating. I've dealt with my own eating disorder as a younger person. So now with my nutrition, I am big on there's no foods are off limits.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's about making a choice. So, we can eat what we want. It's just the amount and the type. So when you start saying you can't have something, then you are already focusing on it. So I focus on, have the things that you love, but have them on occasion, not every day. So you're not missing out. Making sure that you're not skipping meals, and when you're not focusing on eating just for weight loss or exercising for weight loss, things start to happen because you're using different measures of success, not just weight loss. And then over time, it's less about how much you weigh and how you feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if I feel good, that's my measure of success.
Yeah.
If I feel good, I think I look good. If I don't feel good in myself, I don't feel like I look good, if that makes sense.
Makes total sense. Makes complete sense.
Yeah. So, just, changing that relationship with food. And there's no good or bad foods. It's just food.
Yeah.
It's just food. And, making sure that you are including, I call them soul foods.
Yeah.
The foods that make you feel good, that you like eating.
Yeah, just I really like that, and I come specifically. I come from a sporting background where it still troubles me to this day, not as much, but it really still does. I come from an amateur boxing background, and I was always a bit steady in the breeze, a bit chubby and short. So I would have to really strip the weight down, and it was all focused around numbers and around the scales. And I know other sort of sports people like jockeys, gymnasts, dancers, they
absolutely
same challenge. So it's like a completely different reframe and re-engineering of the way we can potentially look at, like you said, the relationship with food. Do you find people gravitate towards what you're saying? Like, do people, or does it take time to like?
Yeah, definitely takes time, because people are really attached to how they eat.
Yes.
Even if it's not working for them.
Yeah.
So
were you talking to me then?
No.
Was that at me? Yeah.
You know, sometimes when people come to me, I'll say, you know, how about we change this? And they're like, oh, but I said, but you are here because this is not working for you. So let's just make these little changes. And I also try not to change too much at once as well.
Yeah.
Because that can be overwhelming for people. But people do get attached to how they eat. So little baby steps, but getting rid of that all or nothing thinking.
Yeah.
Because when you're doing it all and when you're doing nothing, they're almost the same.
Yeah.
Because you can be miserable when you're doing it all.
Yeah.
And you're miserable when you're doing nothing.
You are talking to me. Cut it out.
Sorry.
Start that fucking woo-woo shit now. No.
I think I'm talking to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So it's about finding that middle ground.
You
know, a middle ground that you feel good at, because nothing ever good comes from all or nothing thinking. Yeah.
What a great way. So that's my learning thing for the day. Like, I love that. That is just so insightful. It makes total sense. Total sense.
Yeah. And, you know, depending on the person, I work out with them, okay, what are you happy doing? And then we work from there. So, you know, is it exercising? What's the bare minimum that works for you? And then if you do more, that's great.
Yeah.
But you know that you can stick to that long term.
Yeah. And that's it, isn't it? It's the long game. It's the falling in love with the journey. So whatever the journey looks like for the individual. God.
Yeah.
So good, mate. So good.
Yep.
Nicole, like, honestly, thank you so much. You are a reservoir of knowledge and a to be honest, like a breath of fresh air. It's just so nice to hear another professional's point of view, and also your understanding and education around hormones. And I know the people in our community and the people that take the time to watch this on YouTube or listen to the podcast on Spotify, they're going to be wrapped and stoked, because this is just full of so much value that is, I find it simple to apply. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
People, because there will be people that want to get hold of you. What's the I'll put some links in the little notes, but how can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram, Nicole for Coaching, Facebook, Nicole for Coaching, or they can reach out to me through my website.
Yeah.
Which can you put that into your show notes?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Yeah, and they can reach out to me via email, or my phone number's on there. Check out my website, what I do. Yeah, thank you for having me. I love talking about how women can support themselves, because we do try and make it complicated, and it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be.
And I think too, noticing the challenge that a lot of women have is so different now in 2023. It's not like, you know, the women are working full time, probably more hours than the man, raising the kids, got the household going, got the everything going, and then going through something that's quite a challenging process. I know us men would last about fucking 13 seconds dealing with all of this. So, well done, women.
Yes, we're awesome.
Always been a big fan of women. Anyway, Nicole, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Jamie. Sorry about my throat, everybody.
No,
But yeah.
totally. Ah,